Fisherman remanded on attempt to commit felony charge. Chris Gopal, a 34-year-old fisherman from the Riverview housing scheme in Mahaica, East Coast Demerara, is facing serious legal trouble after being charged with attempting to commit a felony. This charge, in violation of Section 36 of the Criminal Law, Offences, Act, Chapter 801, allegedly involves a 62-year-old security guard from Charity, Essequibo Coast. Fisherman remanded on attempt to commit felony charge 5. On February 3, 2026, Gopal appeared at the Anna Regina Magistrates Court before His Worship Ravindra Mohabir, where the indictment was formally presented. As the charge is indictable, Gopal was not required to enter a plea at this stage. Following the proceedings, the accused was remanded to prison, with the case set to continue on February 17, 2026. This ongoing legal matter highlights serious concerns regarding public safety and criminal law enforcement in the region.
Man charged with multiple traffic offenses at Cotton Field. Baini Lal, a 52-year-old laborer from Lima Sand, has been charged with several traffic violations, including failure to have an identification mark, rear and front, unlicensed driver, and breach of insurance. These offenses occurred on January 20, 2026, at the Cotton Field Access Road. Man charged with multiple traffic offenses at Cotton Field 5. On February 3, 2026, Lal appeared before His Worship Ravindra Mohabir at the Anna Regina Magistrates Court, where the charges were read to him. He pleaded guilty to all the offenses. Lal received the following penalties for his violations. Failure to have identification mark. Rear fined $75,000 or 3 months imprisonment. Failure to have identification mark. Front fined $75,000 or 3 months imprisonment. Unlicensed driver. Fined $30,000 or 3 months imprisonment. Breach of insurance. Fined $40,000 or 3 months imprisonment. This case highlights the importance of adhering to vehicle regulations to ensure road safety and compliance with the law. Man charged with multiple traffic offenses at Anna Regina. Tailesh Persad, a 30-year-old laborer from Colombia, has been charged with several traffic offenses, including obscured identification mark, failure to have an identification mark, uninsured motor vehicle, and unlicensed motor vehicle. These charges stem from an incident that occurred on December 11, 2025, at the Anna Regina Access Road. Man charged with multiple traffic offenses at Anna Regina 5. On February 3, 2026, Persad appeared in the Anna Regina Magistrates Court before His Worship Ravindra Mohabir. During the proceedings, he changed his plea from not guilty to guilty. As a result of his guilty pleas, Persad received the following penalties. Obscured identification mark. Front fined $100,000 or 3 months imprisonment. Failure to have identification mark. Rear fined $100,000 or 3 months imprisonment. Uninsured motor vehicle. Fined $40,000 or 3 months imprisonment. Unlicensed motor vehicle. Fined $10,000 or 1 month's imprisonment. This case underscores the importance of compliance with vehicle identification and insurance regulations to ensure road safety.
Timeri man pleads guilty to dangerous driving, fined and license suspended. Cameron DeFreitas, a resident of Timeri, East Bank Demerara, has been charged with dangerous driving following a collision incident that occurred on January 31, 2026. The accident, which involved 2 motor lorries, took place around 3:45 a.m. on the land of Canaan Public Road. Timeri man pleads guilty to dangerous driving, fined and license suspended 5. DeFreitas appeared at the Friendship Magistrates Court on February 4, 2026, before Her Worship Tamika Clark. During the court session, he pleaded guilty to the charge of dangerous driving, which is in violation of Section 36(1) of the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act, Chapter 51:02. As a result of his plea, DeFreitas was fined $50,000, GYD $50,000, and had his driver's license suspended for 12 months. The ruling serves as a reminder of the legal repercussions associated with dangerous driving and the importance of road safety. Truck driver faces additional charges in fatal BJ-DRB crash. Joe Mulkenny, a 23-year-old resident of Anna Katharina, West Coast Demerara, has been charged with multiple traffic-related offenses following a fatal accident on the Barrett-Jagdeo Demerara River Bridge, BJ-DRB, that occurred on January 29, 2026. Truck driver faces additional charges in fatal BJ-DRB crash 5. On January 30th, Kenny was initially charged with being an unlicensed driver, breach of insurance, and faulty packing of load. He appeared before the court, pleaded not guilty to these charges, and was subsequently remanded to prison until February 4, 2026. In a further development, on February 4, 2026, Kenny faced additional charges, including causing death by dangerous driving, failing to have proper control of a motor vehicle, and maintenance of a motor vehicle. He reappeared at the Diamond/Golden Grove Magistrates Court, where these charges were presented by His Worship Dylan Bess. While he was not required to plead to the indictable charge of causing death by dangerous driving, he pleaded not guilty to the other offenses. Kenny was granted bail set at $2,150,000, GYD $2,150,000. The court has scheduled the matter for trial on April 2, 2026. This case continues to draw attention as the investigation into the circumstances surrounding the fatal crash unfolds.
Tragic discovery. 4 crew members found dead on cargo vessel identified. A local cargo vessel turned tragic last evening when 4 crew members were discovered dead at a Water Street wharf, with preliminary investigations indicating they may have succumbed to carbon monoxide poisoning. Tragic discovery. 4 crew members found dead on cargo vessel identified 5. The bodies of the 4 men were found in the engine room of the vessel shortly before 7 p.m. The deceased are identified as 18-year-old Brandon Dionarine, 57-year-old Nirwayne Persaud, 33-year-old Dominic Alexis, and 25-year-old Gatindra Sankara. Among them, Dionarine and Persaud were seamen. Alexis served as the captain, and Sankara was the vessel's engineer. According to a police statement, it appears the men were inspecting a dry space within the engine room when they were exposed to suspected noxious fumes and subsequently collapsed. It is reported that Dionarine and Persaud entered the engine room first and lost consciousness. Following their collapse, Alexis entered in an attempt to help, only to also succumb. Sankara was the last to enter the room, trying to assist his colleagues, but he too collapsed. An alarm was raised by other crew members, prompting a swift response from emergency medical technicians and the Guyana Fire Service. The 4 men were removed from the vessel and transported to the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation, where they were pronounced dead by a doctor on duty. Their bodies are currently at the hospital's mortuary, pending post-mortem examinations. Maritime and health and safety investigators have visited the scene and will be part of a larger investigation into the circumstances surrounding this tragic incident. Emergency protocols and safety regulations regarding ventilation and exhaust systems on vessels are likely to be scrutinized in the wake of this loss.
Elderly man sentenced for unlawful wounding. Claude Howard, an elderly man, was sentenced to imprisonment after pleading guilty to a charge of unlawful wounding during an appearance at the Georgetown Magistrates' Courts. Elderly man sentenced for unlawful wounding 6. Howard stood before Acting Chief Magistrate Faith McGusty, charged with unlawfully and maliciously wounding Terence Granada at Borda Market on January 27, 2026. The prosecution outlined that the incident stemmed from an argument between Howard and Granada. During the confrontation, Howard reportedly struck Granada several times with a stick before fleeing the scene. Authorities later arrested Howard. In court, the prosecutor detailed the injuries sustained by Granada, which included swelling around his eyes and scars on his face resulting from the assault. After considering the facts of the case and Howard's guilty plea, Acting Chief Magistrate McGusty imposed a fine of $20,000 or a 6-week imprisonment sentence in default of payment.
Court proceedings continue in gas station explosion case. The court case involving 4 of the 7 accused linked to the deadly gas station explosion at Regent Street, Georgetown, was called again on Wednesday, with March 10 set for the commencement of paper committal proceedings. The case is being heard before Acting Chief Magistrate Faith McGusty at the Georgetown Magistrates Court. Court proceedings continue in gas station explosion case 6. During the session, Prosecutor Mandel Moore informed the court that one of the accused, Johnny Boudram, cannot read English though he can speak it. His statements are currently being translated and are expected to be provided to him later today. The magistrate noted receiving several documents and statements from attorney Mikhail Perron, representing Boudram. Additionally, lawyer Kiswana Jefford, who represents another accused, Crystal LaCruz, stated that statements for her client were filed as of January 28. The prosecution has applied for the matter to proceed by paper committal, which allows the court to review written evidence rather than hearing live testimony at this stage. The magistrate clarified that the charges involve serious allegations, including actions leading to the death of a 6-year-old child, alongside terrorism-related charges. Jefford requested that the court permit a hybrid process to allow the defense to cross-examine key witnesses. However, the magistrate ruled that this is not permissible under the Paper Committal Act. During these proceedings, the magistrate will determine the admissibility of the evidence and whether a prima facie case exists to send the matter to trial in the High Court. She also requested that a list of witnesses be provided to the prosecution. The accused now before the court are Boudram LaCruz and Venezuelan nationals Daniel Alexander Ramirez Podemo and Alexander Betancourt. Podemo is reported to be the alleged mastermind behind the explosion, which authorities have described as a coordinated act. The other 3 accused, Wayne Correa, Ramesh Pramdio and Jennifer Rodriguez, are facing separate charges in different magisterial districts. Further updates are expected as the case progresses.
Extradition proceedings against Azruddin Mohammed continue amid courtroom tensions. Extradition proceedings involving businessman and opposition leader Azruddin Mohammed resumed on Thursday at the Georgetown Magistrates Court, following Principal Magistrate Judy Lachman's firm refusal to grant a defense request for an adjournment. Extradition proceedings against Azruddin Mohammed continue amid courtroom tensions. 5. Magistrate Lachman addressed the adjournment application with a straightforward remark: "Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow is yet to come. Let us proceed." This statement encapsulated her stance on maintaining momentum in the proceedings. Defense counsel Sayan Durjan argued for the adjournment by highlighting Mohammed's significant involvement in the National Assembly's budget debates, which frequently extend late into the night. Durjan stressed that as leader of the opposition, Mohammed has a constitutional obligation to engage fully in parliamentary discussions, including meticulous scrutiny of budget presentations and crafting comprehensive responses. It would be excessive for Mr. Mohammed to sit in the National Assembly all afternoon and night, finishing around midnight, and then be expected to attend court proceedings throughout the morning, Durjan asserted. Additionally, Durjan informed the court that Mohammed was experiencing a migraine and was on medication, suggesting that the request for an adjournment was made in the public interest. He also mentioned pending high court matters that could impact the case, noting that a related ruling is scheduled for February 16. State Prosecutor Terrence Williams opposed the adjournment, arguing that such requests had become overly frequent and that the extradition proceedings were nearing completion. He emphasized that there was no conflict between the morning court sessions and Mohammed's parliamentary responsibilities, as the opposition leader was slated to speak in the National Assembly on Friday afternoon, outside of court hours. Williams underscored that attending court remains a priority, even amid parliamentary activities, particularly given the conditions of Mohammed's recognizance when bail was granted. This matter requires reasonable expedition. Every time we appear, a reason is advanced for adjournment. The state has been put to expense repeatedly, he noted. Adding to the atmosphere of urgency, Williams referenced comments made by Chief Justice, A.G. Navindra Singh in a recent ruling dismissing a high court challenge for Mohammed and his father, Nazar Mohammed.
The Chief Justice deemed the allegations of political bias in the extradition process unfounded and described the adjournment request as disingenuous, awarding $500,000 in costs to each respondent. After deliberating on the arguments from both sides, Magistrate Lachman denied the adjournment, ordering that the extradition proceedings continue. While a broader constitutional challenge regarding amendments to the Fugitive Offenders Act is still pending, the court's decision marks a significant step forward in the ongoing legal saga surrounding Azruddin Mohammed's extradition.
Quarantine man pleads guilty to felonious wounding of stepfather. Mulshanker Sukram, a 32-year-old man from number 79 village, Quarantine, has pleaded guilty to the charge of felonious wounding of his stepfather, Yugenray Sugnaram, during an appearance before Justice Deborah Kumarchetti in the Burbis High Court. Quarantine man pleads guilty to felonious wounding of stepfather 6. The incident in question occurred on July 16, 2021, when Sukram attempted to kill his 58-year-old stepfather. While he originally pleaded not guilty to the attempted murder charge, he admitted guilt to wounding Sugnaram with the intent to cause grievous bodily harm. Under Guyanese law, Sukram was entitled to a trial by jury, where he would have been presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. However, he chose to waive this right by entering a guilty plea. Prosecutor Marissa Edwards presented evidence indicating that on the day of the incident, around 8 a.m., Yugenray was at home when Mulshanker verbally assaulted him and threw glass bottles, resulting in injuries. After fleeing the scene, Mulshanker was later observed with broken glass bottles in his hands and proceeded to stab Yugenray multiple times in a neighbor's yard. Yugenray sustained 2 stab wounds to his abdomen and was quickly transported to Skeldon Public Hospital before being transferred to New Amsterdam Public Hospital for further treatment. After his discharge, he reported the incident to the Springlands Police Station. Mulshanker was arrested on April 8, 2022, after being informed of the allegations. During police questioning, he admitted that Yugenray had tormented him and thrown bottles at him. Justice Kumarchetti acknowledged that there was a factual basis for Mulshanker's guilty plea and formally accepted it for the charge of felonious wounding. The court has ordered the submission of a probation report, a prison conduct report, aggravating and mitigating factors, a victim impact statement, and inputs from both Mulshanker's attorney, Sasha Roberts, and Prosecutor Edwards by March 2nd. Sentencing is scheduled for March 12th, with Mulshanker remaining in custody until then.
Investigation underway in burning death of tour guide Leon Baird. Family seeks answers. The family of Leon Baird, a tour guide known as Rasta, is seeking answers following his tragic and violent death in a remote area of the Rupununi Savannah, where his burned remains were discovered last month. Relatives claim Baird had been living under threat due to his encounters with cattle rustlers in the region. Investigation underway in burning death of tour guide Leon Baird. Family seeks answers 6. Baird's sister-in-law, Lerona Andrew, shared insights during a telephone interview, revealing that he had previously expressed concerns about threats from individuals he encountered while working near Wichabai Ranch, where he was employed. According to Andrew, these threats were linked to cattle rustling, an ongoing issue in the area that poses serious dangers to ranching communities. It's not just one time they threaten him, Andrew stated, explaining that Baird's job often required him to work in isolated locations, leading to confrontations with cattle thieves. Because he found them rustling, they threatened him, she added. Despite the threats, Baird never formally reported them to the police. On the morning of January 23, Baird left the ranch to round up cattle but failed to return. His partially burned remains were discovered the following day inside a torched vehicle by a worker searching for him. Baird's eldest brother, Nigel Andrew, reflected on the painful recognition of his brother's fate. "It's a history but not a mystery," he said, recalling a previous conversation with Leon about ongoing troubles in the area. He said there are some guys doing mischief, and he knew them because he already confronted them and they threatened him. Nigel characterized Baird as someone familiar with the land and unafraid to challenge wrongdoing. Police confirmed that Baird's remains were located near Wichabai Ranch along the eastern bank of the Rupununi River. A post-mortem examination revealed that he died from burns while still alive prior to the fire. DNA samples were taken for identification purposes. During their investigation, law enforcement officers also discovered the remains of 2 shot cattle, alongside a knife and spent shotgun shells, suggesting that Baird may have encountered individuals involved in cattle theft shortly before his death. Authorities have indicated to the family that several suspects are in custody, including a man who allegedly threatened Baird. For Nigel, the haunting unanswered questions linger. "This ain't going down the drain like that. I need to know what happened," he expressed, emphasizing the need for justice and clarity surrounding his brother's death.
Police investigate incident involving 14-year-old student. Police have initiated an investigation concerning an incident involving a 14-year-old female student that reportedly took place on Wednesday at approximately 6 p.m. Police investigate incident involving 14-year-old student 4. Preliminary investigations indicate that the teen was allegedly transported in an unconscious state to a residence in Sofia by other juveniles. She was subsequently taken to the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation (GPHC), where she was admitted for medical treatment. As of now, the teenager is conscious and in stable condition. Initial inquiries suggest that the girl was in the company of juveniles before she lost consciousness, with allegations indicating that alcohol may have been consumed. While no arrests have been made at this time, investigators have already interviewed several individuals as part of the ongoing investigation. Authorities are also actively working to locate 3 juveniles who were reportedly present during the incident. The police continue to investigate the circumstances surrounding this troubling case. More updates will be provided as they become available.
Minister Gail Teixeira clarifies opposition leaders' entitlements. Gail Teixeira, Minister of Parliamentary Affairs and Governance, has addressed concerns regarding the entitlements of the newly elected opposition leader, Azreddin Mohammed, following questions about his security arrangements and benefits. Minister Gail Teixeira clarifies opposition leaders' entitlements 6. In a Facebook video posted on Wednesday, Teixeira explained that the opposition leader is entitled to the same benefits as a government minister. She clarified that the office holder does not receive personal security, but will have security provided at their home and office. Teixeira also confirmed that the opposition leader receives a salary, benefits, and allowances comparable to those of a minister. Her remarks were a response to concerns raised by Mohammed, who assumed the position of opposition leader last week as the head of the We Invest in Nationhood WIN party. The minister pointed out that there may have been a misunderstanding regarding the entitlements associated with the role. Mr. Azreddin is not a former president and is not entitled to the things a former president is entitled to, she noted, referencing the privileges enjoyed by former President Dr. Barrett Jagdeo while he was in the same role. As part of his responsibilities, Mohammed is entitled to an office and 3 staff members to assist with his duties, with the rent for the office and salaries for his staff covered by Parliament. Teixeira's clarifications aim to ensure transparency regarding the benefits associated with the opposition leader's position.
Fiery clash in National Assembly over support for creative sector and youth. Tensions flared in the National Assembly on Thursday afternoon as opposition parliamentarian Odessa Primus and Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport Charles Ramzan Jr. engaged in a heated debate regarding the government's support for Guyana's creative sector and youth development. Fiery clash in National Assembly over support for creative sector and youth 4. As Primus, representing the We Invest in Nationhood WIN party, made her case, she emphasized the urgent need for increased support for individuals dedicated to promoting Guyanese culture. She advocated for legal protections of their work, better earning opportunities, and more avenues to showcase their talents throughout the year, arguing that recognition should not be limited to posthumous celebrations. Primus urged for the inclusion of Guyanese folklore in school curriculums to foster a stronger national identity among youth. She called for more grants and tax incentives to support local filmmakers, artists, writers, and other stakeholders in the creative industry. In response, Ramzan Jr. criticized Primus' remarks, suggesting that her presentation lacked depth. He defended the government's record, asserting that numerous initiatives have been implemented over the past 5 years to support the creative arts and sports sectors. One key initiative mentioned by Ramzan Jr. was the Cultural and Creative Industry Grant, launched in 2021, which has reportedly provided financial assistance to hundreds of creatives across various fields, including film, fashion, music, literature, and digital media, with a total of $120 million distributed. Additionally, Ramzan Jr. highlighted significant investments in sports facilities and support for athletes to train and compete internationally. Looking forward, he announced that amendments to the National Trust Act have been completed and are set to be presented to the National Assembly soon, aimed at enhancing the preservation of Guyana's culture and heritage. The exchange underscored the ongoing dialogue about the importance of supporting the creative sector and youth, revealing differing perspectives within the government and opposition on how best to achieve these goals.
Minister Priya Manikchand promises upliftment through enhanced local government services. Minister of Local Government and Regional Development, Priya Manikchand, confidently declared, "I will never fail, baby," as she outlined her ministry's comprehensive plans to uplift communities across the country through improved local government services and targeted investments under the 2026 national budget, amounting to $1.558 trillion. Minister Priya Manikchand promises upliftment through enhanced local government services for. During the ongoing budget debate, Manikchand emphasized that the government's agenda is clear and aligned with the needs of the people. Cleaner communities, reliable garbage collection, responsive health services, and accessible education. She assured citizens, "We will deliver on our promises." To facilitate these ambitious goals, local government bodies will benefit from increased subventions. Each of the 70 Neighborhood Democratic Councils, NDCs, will receive $30 million, while each of the 10 municipalities will get $50 million to effectively carry out their responsibilities. Furthermore, Manikchand highlighted plans for targeted investments, including new waste disposal initiatives. 8 new landfill sites will be established across regions 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, and 10. These sites will not only focus on waste disposal but will also incorporate options for recycling. The minister reiterated the government's commitment to enhancing the quality of life for citizens, aiming to create happier communities through practical initiatives and infrastructure development. Dr. David Hines critiques government for underfunding public servants and University of Guyana in 2026 budget. Co-leader of the Working People's Alliance and Member of Parliament for the A Partnership for National Unity, Dr. David Hines, has expressed strong disapproval of the government's 2026 national budget, specifically criticizing the lack of attention given to public servants and the University of Guyana. Dr. David Hines critiques government for underfunding public servants and University of Guyana in 2026 budget for. During his contribution to the budget debate, Dr. Hines highlighted that Finance Minister Dr. Ashni Singh's budget speech made no reference to salary increases for public servants. Moreover, he pointed out that the University of Guyana received substantially less funding than it had requested. Dr. Hines argued that the government appears to prioritize the Guyana Online Academy of Learning (GOL) program over the national university. With the abolition of tuition fees at the University of Guyana, he emphasized the need for additional funding, suggesting that the budget allocation for GOL, over $5 billion, should be redirected to support the university. "We spend billions of dollars paying overseas universities in this GOL scholarship while depriving our university of funds. The University of Guyana can provide some of those degrees that GOL is sending our students abroad for. I urge our government to slash the GOL budget and give half of those resources to the University of Guyana," he stated. Furthermore, Dr. Hines called for the government to prioritize public servants, criticizing the lack of a salary increase amid rising market prices. He pointed out the stark contrast between the minimum wage for public servants, $102,000, and that in the private sector, $60,000. questioning the government's commitment to ensuring the dignity of public workers in a budget of $1.5 trillion. Mr. Speaker, can we not find a place for the dignity of public servants? Let us put public servants first, he insisted. Dr. Hines also urged the government to address the high poverty rate in the country. He acknowledged the government's broad measures but expressed concern over their effectiveness in tackling the root causes of poverty. The remarks come as the opposition intensifies its scrutiny of government spending priorities, while advocating for a stronger focus on supporting education and public service sectors.
ExxonMobil completes purchase of FPSO-1 Guyana from SBM Offshore. ExxonMobil Guyana Ltd. has finalized the purchase of the FPSO-1 Guyana from SBM Offshore, concluding the transaction ahead of the unit's maximum lease term, which was set to expire in August 2027. The announcement was made on Tuesday in Amsterdam. ExxonMobil completes purchase of FPSO-1 Guyana from SBM Offshore 6. With this completion, ExxonMobil Guyana now assumes ownership of the floating production, storage and offloading FPSO vessel, while SBM Offshore will retain operational and maintenance responsibilities until 2035. The deal involved a total cash consideration of approximately $2.32 billion, with a significant portion, $1.74 billion, used to fully repay project financing, substantially decreasing SBM Offshore's net debt position. The FPSO-1 Guyana is the largest and fourth oil production facility operating within Guyana's Stabroek Block. It successfully achieved first oil in August 2025, ahead of schedule, marking a significant milestone in the country's rapid offshore development. The FPSO will continue to operate under an integrated operations and maintenance model, leveraging technical expertise from both SBM Offshore and ExxonMobil Guyana. SBM Offshore noted that the financial implications of this transaction will be included in its 2026 guidance, which will be released alongside the company's full-year 2025 earnings report scheduled for February 26, 2026.
Berbice man pleads guilty to rape and assault in high court. Anthony Jeffrey, a 29-year-old man from Berbice, has pleaded guilty to charges of rape and assault after breaking into a woman's home and attacking her in the early hours of March 4, 2024. Jeffrey, also known as Tony, appeared before Justice Deborah Kumarchetti at the Berbice High Court, where he admitted to unlawfully entering the woman's residence and sexually penetrating her without consent. Berbice man pleads guilty to rape and assault in High Court 6. State Prosecutor Marissa Edwards outlined the facts of the case, detailing the horrific incident that began around 12:30 a.m. The victim was awakened by a noise at her window and saw a man with a t-shirt covering his head entering her bedroom. As she screamed and attempted to escape, the intruder grabbed her by the neck, threw her onto the bed and assaulted her multiple times. During the attack, which involved violent threats with a cutlass and a gun, the prosecutor stated that Jeffrey pulled the victim by her hair and struck her, causing her to fear for her life. Despite her attempts to flee, he dragged her back into the bedroom, where he removed her clothing and digitally penetrated her. The victim recognized Jeffrey when the cloth covering his head fell off due to the lights being on in the bedroom. The disturbing ordeal continued with multiple attempts at sexual penetration, which Jeffrey failed to accomplish. The attack ended when a neighbor who recognized Jeffrey and the victim shouted at him. Following this, Jeffrey managed to escape, but not before a scuffle ensued between him and the neighbor. The victim was subsequently taken to the Port Morant Hospital and later transferred to New Amsterdam Hospital, where a medical examination revealed numerous injuries, including facial lacerations, bruises, and vaginal tears. After his arrest, Jeffrey initially denied involvement but later admitted to being intoxicated and having jumped through the woman's window. He provided further admissions during a recorded interview. Justice Kumarchetti concluded that there was a sufficient factual basis for the guilty pleas and formally accepted them. She ordered that several documents, including probation reports, psychiatric evaluations, a prison conduct report, and a victim impact statement, be submitted to the court by February 25, 2026. Jeffrey was remanded to prison and will return to court for sentencing on March 5, 2026. The case underscores the gravity of violent crimes and the importance of addressing them within the legal system.
APNU MP calls for forensic audit of local government ministry expenditures. During a session in the National Assembly, Ganesh Mahapal, a member of Parliament for the Partnership for National Unity, APNU, demanded a forensic audit into the hundreds of billions of dollars allocated for projects under the Ministry of Local Government. He emphasized the need for accountability, asserting that funds designated for infrastructure and capital works have been mismanaged, leading to wastage and potential corruption. APNU MP calls for forensic audit of local government ministry expenditures. 6. MP Mahapal pointed out that in 2025, the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development was allocated $41.8 billion, with $38.7 billion earmarked for capital expenditure and $3.1 billion for current expenditure. He expressed concern over the reported spending of $2.7 billion on various projects, including the rehabilitation of markets, yet claimed that there was little evidence to substantiate these expenditures. Mr. Speaker, the budget book states that every cent of the $2.7 billion was fully spent, exhausted, gone. So I ask, where is the work? Where are the rehabilitated markets? Mahapal queried, highlighting specific amounts assigned to various projects, such as $200 million for Stabroek Market and $100 million for Alboistown Market. Yet he found no visible evidence of these improvements. He raised critical questions about public trust and financial integrity, calling for former Minister of Local Government, Sonia Parag, to account for each dollar spent. If these funds did not result in tangible developments, then the conclusion is clear. The money went into somebody's pocket, Mahapal stated, arguing that the lack of physical verification of expenditures represents a form of public theft rather than mere mismanagement. Furthermore, Mahapal criticized the government for additional expenditures reported across the country for various markets, over $800 million for Palmyra Culture Market and $200 million for Mon Repos Market, among others. He challenged the government to demonstrate the physical existence of these projects, asserting that residents and vendors should have the opportunity to assess whether the reported spending is reflected in actual work. Having visited several project sites, Mahapal reported that he observed discrepancies between reported expenditures and the reality on the ground, which he deemed indicative of corruption and wastage. He concluded his remarks by calling for a thorough investigation by the Auditor General, urging that the issues surrounding the local government ministry highlight the need for greater transparency and accountability in governance.
Minister highlights benefits for small and medium contractors in public works. During the 2026 budget debates, Mandalal Ramraj, minister within the Ministry of Public Works, announced that over 12,000 small and medium-sized contractors benefited from contracts awarded by the ministry last year, aimed at building capacity among young contractors for critical works across the country. Minister highlights benefits for small and medium contractors in public works. 6. Ramraj reported that 10,868 small contractors received contracts starting at $14 million, while 1,600 medium-sized contractors were awarded contracts ranging from $14 million to $100 million. We are talking about 12,000 contractors. These are small people who are benefiting from the government, and this is only from public works, he emphasized. The minister stressed that the goal is to ensure communities see direct progress from government projects. He defended the government's infrastructure initiatives against criticisms, pointing out that these efforts have created more business opportunities and improved livelihoods. For instance, in Sofia, all those road contracts were given to local contractors, Ramraj noted, showcasing the government's commitment to empowering communities across various villages, which he described as a legacy of the PPP/C administration. However, APNU parliamentarian Saiku Andrews countered during his budget presentation, arguing that the budget is primarily focused on infrastructure and lacks balance in addressing other areas. He expressed skepticism regarding the government's value for money concerning its infrastructure projects. This budget is clearly about sand, stone, and cement. 50% goes to capital expenditure, Andrews stated. While he acknowledged the need for transformation, he asserted that true transformational projects should deliver tangible benefits to citizens. He compared current infrastructure projects to those previously developed under PNC/our governments, citing the Demerara River Bridge and the Linden-Soesdijk Highway as examples. We in the PNC have a record of delivering truly transformational infrastructure, he asserted, referencing the vision of former leader LFS Burnham in 1978. Andrews urged the government to implement strict project monitoring mechanisms to ensure the safeguarding of taxpayers' money, emphasizing the need for accountability in the execution of developmental projects.
Kwame McCoy highlights trust in budget debate amid opposition walkout. Minister within the Office of the Prime Minister, Kwame McCoy, captivated the National Assembly on Wednesday during his contribution to the 2026 budget debates, emphasizing that trust is the pivotal factor in Guyana's political landscape. His speech, however, was marked by a dramatic walkout from the Win opposition as he began to address the Assembly. Kwame McCoy highlights trust in budget debate amid opposition walkout 5. As McCoy rose to present his arguments, all Win parliamentarians exited the dome. He later referenced this moment, criticizing the opposition for substituting substantive ideas with mere noise and failing to resonate with the broader electorate. McCoy asserted that the electoral success of the People's Progressive Party/Civic, PPP/C, stems from public confidence forged through effective governance. Progress only comes through trust. People got to trust you, he stated, clarifying that Budget 2026 is crafted to benefit every single class, category, race, and features a human face behind each financial allocation. Addressing opposition allegations of exclusion faced by Afro-Guyanese from government programs, McCoy expressed that he was fully offended by these claims. He specifically challenged opposition member David Hines, arguing that sweeping accusations of marginalization overlook the tangible government services and support provided through various ministries, including his own office. To support his argument for a human face of government programs, McCoy recounted a success story of a young woman who transitioned from selling meals at construction sites to running a taxi service with 4 vehicles. This, he claimed, showcases how economic opportunities and development are proliferating through public investment. McCoy dismissed opposition criticisms regarding infrastructure spending, asserting that investments in roads and public works create real economic opportunities that benefit contractors, small businesses, vendors, and workers alike. Reiterating his theme of trust, McCoy remarked that it is earned through delivery and eroded by failure. He described the former APNU plus AFC administration as a failed experiment that left the opposition impoverished of ideas, accusing them of merely manufacturing slogans for media attention while his government is focused on governance with substance. Concluding his address, McCoy expressed gratitude to citizens for their ongoing confidence and reaffirmed the administration's commitment to enhance their lives. He insisted that Budget 2026 is for all the people of Guyana and aims to facilitate further national progress.
Opposition MPs challenge Education Minister over budget and sector issues. A heated debate unfolded yesterday in Parliament as opposition members of Parliament Gordon Barker from the Win Party and Coretta MacDonald of the APNU confronted Education Minister Sonia Parag regarding budgetary allocations for the Education Ministry and the overall state of the education sector. Opposition MPs challenge Education Minister over budget and sector issue 7. MP Barker raised concerns about the government's school feeding program, questioning the quality of meals provided to students. He suggested that the funds allocated for the program should instead go directly to parents to help them prepare better meals for their children. He also criticized the Education Ministry for failing to address the long-standing issue of teacher promotions, stating, "No education system can rise above the quality, morale, and stability of its teachers." Yet, when we examine allocations related to the Teaching Service Commission and teacher management, we observe a glaring silence on several critical issues, including the backlog in promotions that hinders pension and gratuity payments to teachers upon retirement. Coretta MacDonald, who is also the president of the Guyana Teachers Union, echoed these concerns.
She noted that while the government's overall budget has increased, the education sector's budget has only risen by 2%, indicating that education is not being prioritized as promised. These numbers demonstrate that while education spending has increased in absolute terms, it has failed to keep pace with the national budget. The result is that education is not being prioritized despite repeated claims to the contrary, McDonald asserted. In her defense, Education Minister Sonia Parag highlighted the government's strategic investment in the education sector. We have a 5-year plan, and every single year we invest money in that space to ensure we deliver on our policies and programs. Priority has always been placed on education by the People's Progressive Party civic government, she stated. McDonald further questioned the infrastructure improvements in schools, highlighting issues at newly built or renovated facilities. She reported that students are consuming stale food and pointed out critical infrastructural challenges, such as leaks at the Brick Dam Secondary School and lack of basic utilities like running water and electricity in several schools. In response to these allegations, the education minister acknowledged existing infrastructural problems, but assured that mechanisms are in place to address them. We have schools with infrastructure problems, and I am not here to deny that we have issues. However, once an issue is reported to us, we will go and fix it. Just as our homes may face problems, so do schools housing hundreds of children, but we are committed to resolving these issues, Parag said. Additionally, the minister announced that the Teaching Service Commission will soon address some 1,500 vacancies in the system, ensuring that eligible teachers will receive their promotions. The debate highlighted ongoing tensions regarding educational reforms and resource allocation in Guyana, with both opposition members and the minister emphasizing their respective stances on the future of education in the country.
Foreign Affairs Minister defends policy amid opposition critique in budget debate. Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Hugh Todd, staunchly defended the government's foreign policy during the national budget debate on Wednesday, directly responding to critiques from Forward Guyana Movement, FGM, Member of Parliament, Amanza Walton-Desser. Her call for an integrated foreign policy framework that addresses new and emerging challenges sparked a heated exchange. Foreign Affairs Minister defends policy amid opposition critique in Budget Debate 5. Taking the floor, Todd dismissed Walton-Desser's critique, asserting that she lacks experience in foreign relations and might have referred to basic texts on the subject. He highlighted an allocation of $10.035 billion in the budget for his ministry, which he described as an 88% increase over the past 5 years, underscoring the government's commitment to advancing its foreign policy agenda. Our foreign policy is a key pillar for national development, social advancement, and economic growth, Todd stated, emphasizing that effective policies are informed by data and empirical evidence. He criticized Walton-Desser's alignment with opposition leader Azruddin Mohammed, who is facing extradition, suggesting that her actions undermine her capacity to critique the government. He asserted that foreign policy is an ongoing endeavor that requires constant adaptation to the dynamic international landscape. Foreign policy never stops. You have to continuously work at it, keep developing it, and executing it, he noted, expressing confidence that Guyana's successes have garnered positive responses from regional and international partners. Todd disclosed that $100 million has been allocated for safeguarding the country's borders, reinforcing the importance of national security. In her preceding remarks, Walton-Desser highlighted that Guyana's status as a young petroleum-producing nation places it at the forefront of global attention and increased geopolitical risks. She argued that the current foreign policy approach is outdated and insufficient in addressing the complexities of modern diplomacy, asserting the need for a standing Foreign Policy Relations Council to integrate various areas of expertise for better preparedness. By preparedness, I mean the legal, institutional, and strategic capacity to anticipate pressure, coordinate responses, and defend national interests before a crisis becomes confrontation, Walton-Desser articulated. She emphasized that protecting sovereignty must be a cornerstone of any serious foreign policy in the petroleum era. Walton Desser also criticized the government's migration policy, claiming that it has led to an unmanageable influx of migrants. She argued that such poor governance adversely affects the populace and called for better management of migration to safeguard the country's public services. Furthermore, she demanded transparency in the government's foreign agreements, lamenting that citizens often learn about crucial policies through foreign media outlets rather than being informed directly. As the debate unfolded, it underscored a significant divide in perspectives on foreign policy, national security, and governance approaches in the evolving geopolitical landscape Guyana faces.
Minister of Natural Resources defends oil and gas management amid criticism. During the national budget debates, Minister of Natural Resources, Vikram Barrett, emphasized that Guyana's burgeoning oil and gas sector is a significant driver of growth and development. He highlighted the industry's prudent management, asserting that it operates with a high level of transparency and accountability. Minister of Natural Resources defends oil and gas management amid criticism. 6. Barrett stated, Guyana's oil and gas sector is regarded as one of the best managed oil and gas sectors in the world among new oil-producing countries. Every single new oil-producing country is looking at Guyana as an example. He revealed that the government is assisting other countries in drafting their local content legislation to follow Guyana's framework. He pointed out that shortly after taking office in 2020, the government passed the Natural Resource Fund Bill, establishing a sovereign wealth fund in under a year, which usually takes other nations decades. We placed accountability on the front burner, he said, explaining that a prescribed formula now dictates how revenues from the Natural Resources Fund are allocated in the national budget. Turning to the mining sector, Barrett noted the revival of the gold industry and significant investments in the bauxite industry, crucial for job creation, especially in Region 10. He defended keeping the bauxite mine in Linden operational, contrasting it with the job losses attributed to the actions of the previous administration regarding Rusal. However, APNU Member of Parliament Sharma Solomon sharply criticized the ministry's management of the gold, bauxite and forestry sectors, arguing that there is weak oversight in these industries. He acknowledged that while the non-oil extractive sector grew by 17%, the regions dependent on these resources remain economically and socially underdeveloped. Gold remains one of Guyana's largest non-oil revenue earners, yet oversight of the sector has weakened, Solomon contended. He lamented the dismantling of previous support systems for small miners, which he claimed had allowed wealth to circulate within local communities. In addressing the forestry sector, Solomon pointed out that timber continues to be extracted from hinterland regions while the infrastructure supporting these communities remains poor. He also criticized the government's approach to the bauxite industry, suggesting that the return of Rusal lacks proper consultation with the residents of Region 10, and raised concerns over potential environmental impacts and revenue-sharing arrangements. Jobs alone are not development, he cautioned, reminding the audience of the historical context and experiences of the region's residents, indicating they would not accept a repeat of past mistakes. The exchanges during the budget debates underscored the ongoing tension between government ambitions in the resource sectors and the calls for stronger accountability and community engagement.
GDF chief warns against complacency amid evolving security challenges. Chief of Defense Staff Brigadier Omar Khan delivered a stern message at the opening of the annual officers' conference, emphasizing that Guyana must remain vigilant in the face of a rapidly evolving security landscape both regionally and globally. We cannot afford complacency, he declared, stressing that the Guyana Defense Force, GDF, must continue to stand guard. GDF chief warns against complacency amid evolving security challenges. 5. Brigadier Khan noted the GDF's significant advancements in enhancing capabilities and securing the nation's borders, despite an expectedly demanding 2025. He pointed out that the geopolitical realities are increasingly placing unprecedented demands on the military. Since our last conference, the world and the region have changed. These changes continue to take form in 2026 and are significant enough to demand more from us in unprecedented ways, he stated, highlighting that these shifts have intensified the threat landscape for Guyana. According to Khan, the ongoing conflicts, strategic competition, and shifting geopolitical alignments are reshaping the global order, creating both traditional and emerging security challenges that require undivided and focused attention. He warned that the current state of global affairs is leading to the erosion of long-standing norms and global stability, which in turn presses traditional military partnerships and institutions. These are not abstract issues. They translate into real and present risks for our national security, particularly where border security and the defense of our territorial integrity are concerned, he remarked. Brigadier Khan specifically addressed the recent developments in Venezuela, emphasizing the GDF's ongoing monitoring of the situation. He maintained that vigilance is crucial, regardless of any potential opportunities brought by regional changes. We continue to assess the recent developments in Venezuela. But regardless of any opportunity self-development may bring, we must continue to stand guard, he stated firmly. The annual Officers' Conference serves as a vital platform for GDF leadership to evaluate the current strategic environment and outline future directions, underscoring the military's commitment to safeguarding Guyana's national security in a complicated international context.
Minister of Tourism addresses corruption claims and highlights growth in budget debate. During her contribution to the budget debate on Tuesday evening, Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, Susan Rodriguez, addressed allegations of corruption related to her property purchases in the U.S. and Guyana. She firmly denied these accusations, asserting her openness to scrutiny and defending her record against claims made by APNU Member of Parliament, Sherrod Duncan. Minister of Tourism addresses corruption claims and highlights growth in budget debate 6. I can withstand scrutiny. I can speak openly to the public. Do not mix my success with government, Minister Rodriguez stated emphatically. She dismissed criticisms as idle gossip, emphasizing her confidence in her achievements and her ability to defend her record. The minister highlighted the phenomenal growth experienced under the People's Progressive Party/Civic PPP/C administration, particularly in the tourism sector, which she described as a key pillar of Guyana's national development agenda. She pointed out that the tourism industry has exceeded expectations, with record-breaking visitor arrivals of 453,489 in 2025, a 22% increase from 2024. To further boost the sector, Rodriguez outlined several budget measures, including the removal of duties on ATVs and outboard engines, and the introduction of flat-rate taxes for double-cab pickup vehicles. These initiatives are aimed at reducing operating costs for tour operators, eco-lodges, and communities, thereby making tourism experiences more affordable. The minister also mentioned significant infrastructure projects, including the expansion and rehabilitation of airstrips, the construction of a new arrival terminal at Chetty Jugan International Airport, and major road and bridge allocations. These projects will translate to reduced costs for tourism operators and, ultimately, for tourists, she stated. Minister Rodriguez announced that discussions with hoteliers have led to the agreement on a special rate for Guyanese, both at home and in the diaspora. This initiative, along with a proposed reduction in domestic air travel costs by up to 9%, aims to enhance domestic tourism. She listed accomplishments in the tourism sector, noting the addition of 12 new airlines and 6 major hotel brands, contributing to an increase in room stock. By the end of 2026, the country is projected to have over 5,600 total rooms, up from 3,280 in 2020. With advancements in new tourism products like eco-lodges and cultural tourism, Minister Rodriguez expressed optimism that the $1.558 trillion budget will not only foster growth in tourism but also bolster the non-oil economy as the government remains committed to economic diversification. Rodriguez concluded that the continuous development of the tourism sector is an integral part of Guyana's broader economic strategy.
Growing threat of organized crime in Guyana. President Ali calls for broader military mandate. In a strong call to action against the escalating threat of organized crime in the region, President Dr. Irfan Ali has urged the Guyana Defense Force, GDF, to adopt a more expansive role that extends beyond traditional border protection. His remarks came during the GDF's annual officers' conference as he highlighted the increasing complexity of security threats facing the nation. Growing threat of organized crime in Guyana. President Ali calls for broader military mandate 5. President Ali addressed the assembled officers, emphasizing their role as guardians of not only national security, but also the country's resources and continued development. You operate in a hemisphere where security threats are fluid, layered, and increasingly complex, he stated, underscoring the need for vigilance amid rising concerns. The president pointed to the persistent challenges posed by transnational crime, including organized trafficking and cyber threats, warning that these issues have no pause. Transnational criminal networks are regional threats that must be confronted and removed from our hemisphere because they endanger security, slow development, and erode the harmony of our country, he asserted. As Guyana expands its oil production within its exclusive economic zone, EEZ, President Ali cautioned that the nation faces intensified threats from those with dubious historical claims to the territory. He also highlighted other concerns, noting, "Within our land, there is a threat to our gold and other minerals from illegal mining. Within our rich forest and biodiversity, there is a need to shield our wildlife from illicit trafficking, and in our airspace, we have to protect it from transnational criminals." In linking national defense to the safeguarding of national assets, President Ali emphasized the critical role the military must play in nation building. To protect national assets is an act of nation building, ensuring what belongs to Guyana is preserved and transformed into real improvement in the lives of our people, he stated. As the conversation around security evolves, President Ali's address at the GDF underscores a pivotal shift towards a more proactive approach in confronting organized crime and securing the future of Guyana's rich natural resources.